the wellness is almost the same thing as happiness. Until you have this internal happiness, and of course you've been looking at the different definitions of the mind, body and the soul. We have to take care of all these three things, not just the physical part, not just the mind part, but the soul is also as important, and how we've been able to connect it, these three things together, and that's what creates happiness. If just your body looking good, you're not going to be happy. We have Anita Srivastava here with us, ladies and gentlemen, who has again background in the IT industry. She comes from the technology, she's a great veteran, and now her mission has been, she's a founder and chief strategist for the Happiness Factors. And she's a great author, actually award-winning author, poetess, and a great ardent lecturer out there. And the book's name has been Feel the Happy. And it's a wonderful book. Which, as a matter of fact, my wife loved it when she read it the very first time, and she probably read it in one going out there.
We will check if you are emotionally well. So we can go and see how we are taking care of ourselves. Are we really taking care of ourselves? Are we rushing after our phones, our laptops and our televisions, or are we really taking time to see what's happening inside me, what's happening inside you, or what's happening inside the person next to you, which takes us to the check-in. Check in with your close family and friends. Check in how they are doing, and by check-in I mean really ask them, not that, oh, how are you, I'm good. That's just like a cliche answer, right? And that doesn't give you any information. But so why do I need emotional wellness? You will say, okay, I have my phone, I have my laptop, I can get all the answers on Google, right? So why do I need to be emotionally well? You need to be emotionally well to succeed in everything you want to do, to have an edge in life over someone who is totally tech dependent. Once you have more interaction, more networking, not only you will be successful in your professional and personal life, but you will get the fulfillment inside. And also, being emotionally well gives you the strength to overcome adversities. Like I can give you an example. So in my book, Find Your Happy, I have interviewed real life people who have overcome adversity in every way. Like some who were in prison, incarcerated for life for shooting someone with 6 bullets. Some who were abuse survivors, or cancer survivors, or people who went through bad divorces. How did these people have the strength to overcome it all and thrive in life and not just survive and not just go kill themselves? It was because they were more emotionally well.
Thank you, Nita. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this wonderful, wonderful talk on happiness factors. She's the founder and how she's converted from just a technology person into this missionary now, and her mission has been to how make everybody happy, and that's what creates wellness, holistic health, which we've been all talking about, how all these things are integrated. It's we have one of the experts who has been doing the investor pitches for many, many years. As a matter of fact, he started, just doing the emceeing some of these programs, and then he realized that this is something which is huge. Especially all these startups, they're all looking for money out there, and he knows the ins and outs of all these things. But in the healthcare industry, especially now in the Silicon Valley, it's become a huge thing. It's a big thing. There's a lot of startups in technology, and as you know, the technology has been helping our modern medicine in a big way. But also, the technology can help bringing all these things together, integrate the ancient medicine, which is all really ancient medicine, but these are the traditional modalities of medicine, the Ayurveda, yoga, and spirituality, meditation, naturopathy, how we can bring together with the modern medicine. I think the technology can play a bigger role, and how we can really look for these investors who can make it happen, how we can get the entrepreneurs like Dimple who can make this thing happen. And the person who has been doing this is Kaustubh Chaudhary. We also call him Casey Wisdom. So let's welcome him, a great friend of mine, and in the Silicon Valley had made a big mark. And I'm going to request him to introduce his friend John Ritchie also. I met him again, has been putting together these investor pitches in a big way. So let's introduce your friend as well.
He's part of Kiritsu, Harvard Business Angels. So it's my pleasure to welcome my friend, philosopher and guide, John Ritchie, to really give his wisdom and illuminate the investor part of this evening. So let's all give John a huge hand for coming here from 50 miles away to when people are coming here, it's not very easy. Nowadays, because of social media, it's very easy to make connection, but to really transact business and to go deeper with them, you need special mentors who already have years and decades of connection. And I have seen, John, you've mentored so many healthcare companies. How about, why don't you talk about, I just met someone from Vegas who you're mentoring, right? Quintels. Why don't you share what they do and how they are you are helping them, and some of them can get inspired to take your help?
Well, this is a Las Vegas-based company which does AI-based search for drug discovery. Drug discovery has been around forever. It takes a lot of time. It's very important. Most of drugs fail, and if you can improve that part of the process, it can make a big difference. So these guys have basically applied AI. Before every startup today has the word AI in their pitch, but before it became so fashionable, they've applied AI to drug discovery and basically literature search and searching for what's already been done. And they're very smart people. They're not very good at raising money. They're more like PhDs who are very good at developing product. And they were based in Las Vegas, which is not a great ecosystem for startup entrepreneurs. So I took them under my wing, and I basically introduced them to a bunch of investors and investor groups, and they're getting some good traction because basically, not because of me, because basically they're a good company.
So can you give some message which is more designed for Indian entrepreneurs who are looking to come here?
Sure. So again, it's very situation specific. The big difference is whether what the startup does applies to the US and applies to the markets outside of India, whether it's a purely Indian startup. If it's a purely Indian startup, probably the best source of money and advice is local. And we actually, one of my groups actually has 3 angel investor chapters in India. 4 if you count Singapore. If they are coming to the US, then we can help them here. Some of them come to your events, but they can set up a corporation here, and we can help them figure out what it takes to be successful here.
We have another person who's also become a Yogapreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, she has done a wonderful job. Right from IT from yoga to the Yogapreneur, has her own TV show, has her own setup where she's becoming into the entrepreneurship, how to work with the corporate world. Initially we talked about how these wellness centers have been set up in the major resort centers, 5-star hotels. Even in Kerala in a big ways, and this wellness tourism has become big. As a matter of fact, some people have set it up in Holland and Europe also, some of these centers where people are going. So it's amazing how these things are propagating. But in the corporate world here, where the stress is so much, where such a fast-moving industry, within hours and days and months, new things are coming up to keep them stable, mentally stable, and everything else. I think yoga has played a major role, and the person who's behind this is Dimple Bindra. Please come up here on the stage. Let's share this, how exactly you've been able to put this thing together.
So I was around 140 pounds when I was 18. By the time I turned 19, within 3 months, my weight increased from 140 to 200 pounds. And I realized, okay, there is something seriously wrong here, okay? So I'm going to talk about why workplace wellness is so important. So the first thing that I would say is get a pedometer. Perfect. Get a pedometer. Even if it's like $50 or $100, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just get a pedometer. So if you do 10,000, that's for average. But what I recommend, especially if you want to stay healthy, and I'm sure Dr. Chopra would agree, if you want to lose weight, you need to do at least 12,000 steps. Okay, 12,000 steps per day. So first step, get a pedometer so at least you know, okay, how many steps you're taking. The second tip is implement something called walk for lunch program at your company. So even if you do not have wellness services at your office, your company, wherever you work, it doesn't matter if you're a small business owner, do something called walk for lunch for your employees. And what that means is your employee and you would walk about 2.5 miles, and then you give them a lunch. Free lunch. Who doesn't want that? We love free lunch, right? Looks like you guys did not have your lunch today. All right, guys, so that'll be your second thing that I would recommend. And then offer lunchtime yoga classes. Paired with, at least twice a week, I would highly recommend to do 2 times a week of yoga classes paired with something cardiovascular. So morning time, if you do yoga, you can offer evening Zumba classes as well as evening HIIT class, or maybe something cardiovascular. So then your body is not just stretching and relaxing, it's also doing something good for your heart. Okay, so my third tip that would be that most people actually don't have time to go to the gym after work. So my next question, I want to make sure you guys are hearing me. How many of you work out in the evening after work? 1 person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The rest of you, what do you do? When do you work out? Morning. Okay, so the 8 of you that do not actually that work out after work, there is something that I recommend, which is we call it rush hour boot camp. Okay, so these tips are only for people who want to implement workplace wellness. So rush hour boot camp simply means our company, InstaVital, what we do is we send a trainer to your workplace, and it could be a personal trainer. Once we send a trainer to your workplace, they will guide you to do a 1-hour boot camp session. And once they do a 1-hour boot camp session, there'll be no great. And then I would say the next tip is for healthy eating programs, because I used to eat a lot of pizza, ramen, Chinese food, cakes and cookies, and I completely changed it. And as you see, as I told you, I used to be 200 pounds, and now I'm about 140, back to what I was when I was 18 years old. So for healthy eating programs, try to get fresh fruits delivered to your company or to your workplace. And if you don't have the budget for it, I don't know, speak to HR, let them talk to me, and I can convince them, okay? I'll take Dr. Chopra too with me as well. Okay, so make sure that you get some fresh fruits delivered to your company, and every week, instead of grabbing cookies, biscuits, and cakes or ice creams for your snack, because that's what most people do. When you have that, that moment at 2 p.m. when you're like totally slouching and you have no energy, what do people do? They go to the cafe and then they grab something super unhealthy. So not recommended. Another tip that I can also recommend you is to get a local chef to come to your company so that they can demonstrate a 30-minute how to cook healthy meal. And that's great for people who actually cook. So your local chefs will gladly help you in doing that, especially if you work for a bigger company or even a smaller one. It doesn't matter. Everyone wants to, make their bread and butter. So that's one tip that, we found out was very successful. Just speak to your local chef and they'll come down, they'll demonstrate a super healthy meal for your employees. Am I making sense here, by the way? Okay, good, thank you. The next thing is, okay, as I was saying about the local chef, your local chef will teach you how to make almond flour pizza. If you don't know how to try it, Google it today. Maybe teach you how to make a vegan cheesecake, which is made out of cashew butter. And even your local chef may show you how to make sushi with brown rice. So these are some of the healthy things that you can do instead of, grabbing that white sugar and white rice. You can also try learning those tips. And lastly, I also recommend employees to convince their employers to get a blender and a juicer in their cafe so that they can actually make their own smoothies and their own juices. And so if you get your employees healthier and happier, of course your employees will be more productive, and then you can actually gain so much back in return, because really taking care of your employees is not just because they work for you, and I'm talking to upper management here, it's actually because you're investing in that person. And the more you invest in that person, you take care of you take care of him or her, they will take care of you as well as your company.
yoga has become a huge word out there in the whole world. It's become, I tell you, probably the most popular word is the yoga right now. And you know, this Thursday was our International Yoga Day. United Nations has recognized it, announced it, and we are so proud that this International Yoga Day has been introduced, and we are all becoming part of it. But a salute to some of the people like Ashwini Sharpur. Please let's welcome her. She's the Executive Director of Yoga Bharati. She was actually an IT person working at Oracle, and then she quit, and then is devoting all her time now towards the yoga therapy, Yoga Bharati. She goes to the hospitals, many other centers, blind centers, you just name it. She goes out there and gives these seminars and even practical yogas and how the yoga therapy is going to work.
Gently sit comfortably on your chair and don't take the support at the back. Both feet on the ground. Head, neck and spine in one line. Close your eyes. Couple of deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale fully and exhale completely. And now, without trying to elongate the breath, simply observe your breathing. Just watch your breath. To enhance this, we'll chant 3 ohms with full breath. Inhale. Gently open your eyes. Thank you. How do you feel? Relaxed. Just a minute or two. Whenever you feel stressed out, this is what you would do. And yoga goes further to define health at 5 sheets, at 5 sheet personality called Panchakosha. The physical layer, nobody can deny that, Annamaya Kosha. The prana layer, and you won't see the prana, but you will feel it because that makes you different from the dead body. So physical body exists in a dead body, but prana is what makes it different. The energy, the vitality within us. And then comes the thoughts, feelings. There is a difference between the mind, emotions, and the intellect. And the yogic sages were smart enough to differentiate between these two. And they said, it's the want, likes and dislikes, the want. If I want a coffee, I just lift my hand and pick it. I use my prana to go get coffee because the mind drives my prana and the prana drives my physical body. So this is how there is a hierarchy here, and for a reason. And then to know that, to want and to like coffee, you should know what is coffee. So there is an intellect layer that discerns what is what. And although we may think that it's the mind is everything, your mind may really want to go for coffee or sugar, but you also have an intellect that says, wait a minute, you have diabetes, you're not supposed to pick that sugar, and you stop. So intellect is the boss of emotions, which is the boss of prana, which is the boss of physical body. Beautiful hierarchy here. But then wait, modern society stops at this. Especially the psychology world stops at this. But then the sages say, when we silence all these aspects of our personality, do we stop existing? I silence my mind, just as we did just now. We silenced all aspects. We sat down with no movement, even physically. Does that mean in fact, there are yogis who even stop their heart. Swami Rama showed that he could almost stop his heart. So hibernation for the most part. And does that mean I stop existing? I don't. So what says through all these changes in the body, in the age, from childhood to the old age, there is something that is I, and that I doesn't change. And that I is the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. And that, when you are in touch with that, which you do every night, when you have deep sleep, you touch your Anandamaya Kosha, and that's why when you come out of it, you feel so fresh. So this is a very simple logic that the yogis have used to understand what is health, to understand what is happiness, to understand that happiness and health are connected, and to understand that illness and sorrow are moving away from who you are. Moving away from who you are brings you disease. Coming back to who you are brings you health. Isn't that is not religion, that is nothing. It's a logic, pure simple logic. When you just think, you will know. Pain management. What is spasm, muscle spasm after all? It's also a response to stress. When we teach how to relax repeatedly for over a long period of time, then the muscle memory of that stress will go away on its own, and slowly you will be able to heal yourself, not cure yourself, heal yourself. It's not like taking a medicine. It's basically slowly teaching your body to go back to its original nature like a child. You will start becoming like a child. This is called Prati Prasava. Prasava is, giving birth and going forward. Prati Prasava is going back to the womb. That is another term used in yoga. So we do both stretching and strengthening exercises. And we most importantly focus on relaxation and mindfulness. We bring classical and yet evidence-based practices. We don't give up classical practices for evidence and modern, we don't dilute anything just because we want to modernize it. So we combine the two. We bring it from Swami Vivekananda Yoga Research Foundation in Bangalore. This is our parent organization. It's a university, and they are also a research body they have published over 400 research papers in PubMed, all peer-reviewed papers. And we combine the best of East and West. So we are the West and they are the East. So we combine that and deliver yoga as therapy. And we have done this for over 15 years now. We have pioneered it. We know what works, what doesn't work for the West, and we practice that. And we also work with the standards bodies here in International Association of Yoga Therapists. We finished accreditation with them, and we bring courses from that. We believe in transforming the society one individual at a time. Yes, there is a huge pyramid you may see in Egypt, but believe me, it was built brick by brick. And no matter how big a building is, we have to build it brick by brick. We believe this, and we follow this very painstakingly. We take one individual at a time and work on them. It's not a mass movement, but it is a mass movement in the way that each one of our people who are standing here in the booth do touch another 20 hearts. Those 20 will touch another 20, but we don't compromise on the amount of time, energy and passion spent on each individual. That is the difference here, and that's a slow process. And we also have yoga for various ailments. We do conduct yoga therapy here in the various centers, about 8 centers here. We always offer individualized yoga therapy. It always has to be individualized, and there is no shortcut for it. There cannot be. We have offered yoga for over 4,000 adults and about 2,000 children in the Bay Area in the last 8 years. Yes, one by one, but this is the combined figures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashwini. Wonderful talk, as they are right here in our backyard, and we are very, very fortunate. They are working at a personalized level, one at a time, like she said. And the biggest mantra which she mentioned over here was that your body is the best healer. Okay, your own body is the best healer. Unlike many other modalities in medicine, think that we take care of them, we can cure things, but they make you heal, your own body heal. So I think that's a wonderful thing, and the way they've used yoga therapy and combining East and West. So Vyasa, as you know, many of us, is the largest body in the world as far as this yoga therapy is concerned. So we are very, very proud.